Well, all right. Welcome back to As It Should Be. Paul Bertolino here, and well, I'm late. Yeah, I'm late. I try to always have a video up on Mondays, and it's really good, especially since my channel's still new and still trying to attract viewers. It's good for me to be consistent and have like a day where I always upload. But I missed the mark this week. One of the reasons why is because I was really having trouble to deciding which I was going to do. And then when I decided I was going to do this video, there's a lot of prep involved, and I had done a certain amount, but I had to really kind of finish it, and that took me a while. And there's life and all that kind of stuff. But but anyway, so this video, I'm going to give you this is going to be the second installment in the series Fantasy Albums. And as you may recall, my initial one was the Beatles. I did a fantasy Beatles album from 1970 called Everest. Well, this video is going to be the great, epic 1978 double album from Kiss. Yeah, Kiss's 1978 double album, Dragonfly. Now, I know you guys are saying, what are you talking about? There's no 1978 album, Dragonfly. Well, yeah, that's why it's a fantasy album. I'm making it up. But, like with the Beatles album and with all the albums in the series, I'm putting together an album that doesn't exist, using material that does exist. Not only songs that exist, obviously, but where possible, artwork, the title, everything, is going to be, I don't want it to be things that I made up. Stuff that I came up with. It's got to be kind of stuff that they really have, either that they used in some capacity, maybe it's in the vault, or was rejected, never used. So yeah, Dragonfly is, for those of you who have the History book, I believe that's where it was that I saw that. They had sort of rejected artwork. There were a couple pages with rejected artwork. There was like the Carnival of Souls cover that they didn't use, and there was this thing called Dragonfly. And it had, they had a full cover for it, with a dragonfly in the front, Kiss logo, Dragonfly. You've seen it. I thought, well, you know what? That's going to be the 1978 album, because I'm doing a 1978 album based on the solo albums. That's what's making up the contents of this record. So I decided that would be Dragonfly, using the same cover. Kind of had to fashion a back cover out of the same material, and then I did a gatefold using one of the other illustrations that they also used that went along with the Dragonfly idea. I'll show all this stuff later on in the video, because part of what I did was I created Casablanca labels for the album as well. And those have the song titles, and I don't want to give those away in advance. There's no point in me even doing this video if I show you the labels right up front. You won't even, there'll be nothing to wait for. And, of course, you guys are all sitting on pins and needles, right? So anyway, yeah, so late in the video, I'll show you the covers and, or the gatefold, the labels, and the whole thing. But, so anyway, let's get into Dragonfly, huh? Now, I also should point out that this is all just my opinion, or not my opinion, but, me doing it my own way. Anybody can go and do this. This is an exercise that anybody can do and put the songs you think work in the order that you think work. But, I just kind of did this in a way that kind of was satisfying to me. You may agree, you may disagree. And, let me know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree, if you have, maybe you've already made your own Kiss solo album, Kiss album. I'm sure a lot of you probably have. Give me your track listings down below. But anyway, so now I'm going to give you mine. Okay, so as I already mentioned, this is a double album, so that means 4 album sides. So let's go into side 1. So side 1 starts out the only way it possibly could. Tonight You Belong to Me. Now there's certain choices that I made that I'm pretty sure would be popular choices. Like almost anybody who compiled a Kiss album from these tracks would probably use certain ones and put them in certain places. Tonight You Belong to Me is really, no other song could possibly open this album, really, and in my opinion. Okay, so that segues nicely into track 2, which is Ace's Speedin' Back to My Baby. Yeah, see, one thing that's, for the most part, I tried to do on this, I tried to put songs in the spot they actually are on the original albums. You know what I mean? Like Tonight You Belong to Me is an opening track, so it's an opening track on this. Speeding Back to My Baby is the second track, so I have it as number 2. I don't have that in every case, but I tried to do that in a lot of cases because I feel like those tracks work really well that way. You know, a lot of the side closers are side closers on the albums that they're really on, that kind of thing. But there are a few tracks where I took liberties. And but Speeding Back to My Baby, I felt like worked really well as a second track. It's just really a good... It just really kind of gets you... It brings you up, right? And, but after Aces brought you up, we're going to bring you down to a mellow place on the third track, and that is Gene's Always Near You, Nowhere to Hide. Now, it's a little tough with the Gene album because there aren't really a lot of Kiss-like tracks on the Gene album. So, between the Gene stuff and, you know, little of the Paul stuff and definitely the Peter stuff, this album definitely has a really odd, different vibe from an actual Kiss record, right? And this track definitely gives you an idea, like, okay, there's going to be stuff on this that's not your standard Kiss fare. Now, a lot of people, I think, probably don't like Always Near You, Nowhere to Hide because it's, you know, it's just really ballady and it's very, very un-Gene-like, or at least un-Demon-like, right? But you know what, man? I love that song so much. And, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I have it so early in the record, early in a double record. Yeah, and not only do I love that, but I love the way it goes right into the next song on the Gene album, Man of a Thousand Faces. Yeah, that's track number 5. Yes, track number 4, sorry. Excuse me, I'm looking at my notes and I have a little mistake over here that threw me off. But Man of a Thousand Faces is track 4 on side 1. And the reason why I kept that way, like it is on the original Gene album, is because they flow together really nicely on that album. And it's good to sometimes have back-to-back tracks by the same member, because a real Kiss album would have that. You know, you don't have to do, like, Paul, Gene, Ace, Peter, Paul, Gene. Like, it's a real Kiss album would have a couple of Gene tracks back to back, maybe a couple of Pauls. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, you got to kind of have it flow like a way a Kiss album would. You know. And anyway, so Man of a Thousand Faces leads us to the final track on side 1, which is Take Me Away, Together as One, which is the final track on side 1 of the Paul Stanley album, and it works really nicely as the final track on side 1 of Dragonfly. All right, so that's side 1, and, well, let's get ready to turn it over to side 2. Okay, so now side 2 opens up with a Gene track, Radioactive. Yeah, so Radioactive, Radioactive can pretty much only open a side. You can't put Radioactive as, like, the third song on a side. It's really got to be a side opener. And, you know, especially you have to get the whole intro in there and everything. Now, of course, on the Gene album, it goes seamlessly into Burning Up With Fever, which I didn't do here. I decided that it's going to go seamlessly, you know, with exactly the same quick cut into Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? Yeah, that's just like, talk about really kicking it into high gear and going with like some power pop Paul Stanley and his, his Raspberries influence showing through. Now, I want to say that this side 2 has 6 tracks instead of 5. The reason why side 1 has 5 and side 2 has 6 is because the way to sequence an album properly isn't really to go, okay, this is how many songs are on the side, but rather how long is the program. And I already said this on the Beatles one, but maybe you didn't see the Beatles one. Now, yeah, I mean, all the songs are sort of different times, different lengths or whatever, so that means the sides are going to be different lengths. So sometimes you have room to throw in one other song there, and then even with that 6th song, it only clocks in at the same as side A, which had 5 songs, right? So that's what I did here. So anyway, so we got Radioactive, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? Now track 3 on side 2 is going to be See You Tonight. See You Tonight, one of my very favorite songs of any of the solo albums. And, I guess, again, kind of like the first side, I have Gene coming in on track 3 to bring things down and make them a little mellow. But, what are you going to do? I mean, See You Tonight, just feels like a track 3 song because it's track 3 on the Gene album, so it's hard for me to kind of break away from that. But coming out of that, it goes gangbusters right into Snowblind from Ace. And that's a really great 4th track for the album and really kind of gets you back up into the rock and roll kind of vibe, right? Rock and roll! So then Snowblind, and you know, and also Ace on Kiss albums has a tendency to have like the 4th track, right? Like Shock Me is the 4th track on side 1 of Love Gun, and what about Kiss Alive 2? Isn't Rocket Ride the 4th track on side 5 or side 4 of Alive 2? That kind of thing. So Ace is a very 4th track on a side kind of Kiss member. Anyway, so after Snowblind comes Love in Chains from Paul. And that kind of holds a similar place as it does on the Paul album because it's the second to last song on side 2. Although there are only 4 songs on side 2 of Paul's album. But yeah, so Love in Chains comes in at number 5 on side 2. And then the side closer brings us to the first Peter track of the album. And that's I Can't Stop the Rain. Probably the most popular Peter solo track. And you know what? That was never really one of my favorites. I only kind of recently kind of went, you know what? I think I do kind of like this one. My favorite on the album has always been and remains I'm Gonna Love You, which is very, very, very difficult to place amongst these songs, I'm telling you. But when I was going through them, there were songs that I already had listed from the Peter album, like You Matter to Me, and Don't You Let Me Down, and Easy Thing, and That's the Kind of Sugar Papa Likes. I had those sort of slated for possible inclusion on this. But then in the end, I kind of thought, you know what? I Can't Stop the Rain is a really good album side closer, and so that's what's going in as the last track on side 2. Okay, so now side 3. Side 3 brings us to the very first time Ace opens up a side on a Kiss album. Yeah, see, I had to kind of... I decided I had to do that because, well, Ace's album opens up with the great Rip It Out. That's a side opener. You don't put Rip It Out as like, the 3rd or 4th song on a side. That is a side opener. So you know what? Since this is Kiss's big epic, double album, their Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, basically, they're trying new things, and they're letting Ace open a side. And he opens up side 3 with Rip It Out. And now that song, Rip It Out, goes really nicely into Burning Up with Fever. And I kind of have Burning Up with Fever going right up against the tail end of the fade of the Ace song, just like it does Radioactive on the Gene album, right? So that works really nicely. And then coming out of Burning Up with Fever, I stick with I'm realizing now that I'm doing this like on every side. Track 3 is a ballad. Oh well, Kiss can be formulaic sometime, right? So track 3 on side 3 is Ain't Quite Right from Paul. Yeah, Ain't Quite Right is a song that I didn't like much when I was a kid, but I've grown to like it a lot. Maybe I think it's an adult song, I think, Ain't Quite Right. And one of my favorites on his album now. But then Ain't Quite Right. Ain't Quite Right is actually going to go into Move On. Now, as you know, Move On actually is before Ain't Quite Right on the Paul album, but I switched them around. Mainly because I kind of really felt like after the first 2 songs, I think that's why I keep putting the slow songs 3rd on the album, because I always feel like after a couple of songs, the 3rd track is where you need to change a pace. And so I didn't want to put Move On 3rd and then Ain't Quite Right 4th. And also I wanted to have a more upbeat song between Ain't Quite Right and the 5th and final track on this side, which is Ozone. Now, talk about new territory for Kiss. Ace opens this side and closes it. I know, that's something that's a little like, would they have done that? Well, in my little fantasy world, like I said, Kiss is feeling very experimental on this album, so they're allowing weird things like this to happen. Okay, so side 4, another track that really only could open a side. You can't put this in the middle of a side. You maybe could close with it if you really wanted to go out with a bang. But this is a side opener. It's All Right from Paul Stanley. Come on. And really, It's Alright should be earlier in the album. It should, it really fits as a second or third side opener, but I didn't want to put Ace or Gene's songs that late, and Paul already has a side opener, so I put It's Alright on side 4 as the opener. And, well, that brings us to Mr. Make-Believe. On side 4, I decided to break with tradition and put the slow Gene song as the second track. And Mr. Make-Believe is one of my very favorite tracks on the Gene album. I always loved it. That's one that I always loved. Because there's certain tracks that when you're young and you first hear these Kiss songs, there's certain ones that you like better than others. These are my favorites. These ones are not so much. And as time goes on, you could start liking these more, not liking these so much. I mean, it just changes. But some of them are evergreen, and for me, Mr. Make-Believe is an evergreen Gene song. And, I mean, it's certainly better than Out of the Frying Pan and Into the Fire! For me, at least. But although Burn Bitch Burn from Animalize, I do actually love that track because I always get a great laugh out of it. It's a great comedy piece. Okay, so track number 3 on side 4 brings us to the second and final Peter track from the album. I only managed to get 2 Peter tracks on this album, and not because I only like 2 Peter tracks. I like all 4 of these albums. I like Peter's album. Yeah, there's songs on it that I don't like. There's some shitty tracks on it. I think Tossin' and Turnin' sucks. Hooked on Rock and Roll is lame, and Rock Me Baby. Those tracks suck. But a lot of tracks on it I do like. And I would have liked to have gotten at least 2 or 3 others on the album, but when you have like all those great Ace tracks and all those great Paul tracks and, a few Gene tracks that I really love, I mean, there's just too many tracks by the other 3 to be able to get that much Peter on it. So anyway, so track 3, I didn't mention which song it is. It's I'm Gonna Love You. Now, I'm Gonna Love You, I kind of shoehorned in here. I really insisted on having this song on the record because I really like it. It's my favorite song on the Peter album, and I just like the track. I always have. And it doesn't really fit, even though this is kind of more versatile Kiss album. It still doesn't fit very well, even with that. And its placement on the record, I don't know if it really flows that well, but I just kind of had to, like I said, I had to shoehorn it in there somewhere, somehow, because I insisted it was there. So this is where it went. Track number 3 on side 4. Alright. But so going out of I'm Gonna Love You is Wiped Out from Ace. Now, the reason why I put Wiped Out in this spot is because it really works, like on the Ace album, it works really well as the penultimate track on the album, as the second to last track on the whole program. It works really well that way, and almost even more so on a more epic length double album like this. And then, of course, I mean, come on, you guys know what has to be the last song on the whole program, right? The last song on the whole album, last song on side 4, say it with me, you know what it is. No, it's not Fractured Mirror. Goodbye from Paul Stanley. Yeah, I mean, what else? I mean, maybe When You Wish Upon a Star? No, it's got to be Goodbye. Goodbye has got to be the last song on the album. I mean, come on, how else could this possibly go? And yeah, so there you go. That is my double Kiss album, Dragonfly. I had a lot of trouble compiling this. I've gone over it, and I've done this before, like a lot of you have. I mean, back in the 80s, I think in the 90s, I would make mixtapes where I would try to make a double album, Kiss album from these. And this is quite different from what I used to do back in the day. I mean, in terms of order and some of the song choices. But, in the end, it's pretty satisfying, especially because I was able to do the cover, as I already talked about, and the record labels. And I'm going to show you those now. So this is the front cover of Dragonfly. Yeah, so a lot of people have seen this before. I'm sure you guys have seen this before. If you have the History book, it's kind of small in there, but, they show this in the book. On the original, it has 2 Kiss logos on top right and top left. I decided to cut it down to 1 logo in the middle. It just works better for me personally. So I kind of altered it in that way. And then, now, here's the back of the cover. Yeah, see, so the back cover, it's very like Kiss to kind of use some of the same elements of the front cover for the back cover and then just have the track listing. So that's what I did here. I mean, I flipped the Dragonfly over so it's the mirror image. And yeah, I have the track listing down there, and you see, the little Casablanca and Rocksteady logos down at the bottom. So that would be the back cover. And of course, this would predate The Elder being a cover that doesn't have Kiss on the cover. But in the gatefold, which is right here, in the gatefold, yeah, here you go, an illustration of Kiss as some sort of a Dragonfly monster character thing. I don't know. But this is artwork that actually already existed, that somebody submitted based on some idea somebody, probably Paul Stanley, had. As you can see, it looks like they have their Dynasty outfits, so this was probably an early Dynasty outfit, or idea, that they didn't use. But I think it works really well for this album. And so, let's go on to the labels. All right, I'm going to show you all 4 sides so you can get a visual on the tracks here. Side 1, the side 1 label, here you go. Yeah. And you see, of course, the little image of Kiss as the Dragonfly up in the spot, because they would have done that. That's such a thing Kiss would have done. Right? And then we got side 2 here. Right? Radioactive, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me, See You Tonight, Snowblind. Yeah. And then, of course, side 3. And, yeah. And, of course, side 4. I mean, you get the idea. But it's still, it's still kind of exciting for me, even as the guy who photoshopped this, to kind of see these images. I'm looking at this going, man, I want this record. I want this to actually exist. And, there's got to be some rich Kiss geeks out there who have, like, a little pressing plant in their garage or something. Yeah, make some Kiss Dragonfly records. All right, so there you go. There's my Kiss fantasy album, 1978's epic double Dragonfly. And yeah, so let me know what you think. Let me know what your picks might have been. Oh, well, I should point out, you're probably going to say, well, what about this song? Why didn't you put New York Groove on it? Why didn't you put this one? Why didn't you put that one? Well, there's a lot of songs that I did have set for it, and let me read those off here. For Gene, I also considered Tunnel of Love, True Confessions, and Living in Sin. Ace, I had What's on Your Mind and I'm in Need of Love in the running. And for Peter, I had You Matter to Me, Don't You Let Me Down, Easy Thing, and That's the Kind of Sugar Papa Likes in the running. I couldn't fit them all on there. I really hated to have to miss out on getting those Ace tracks on there, but, what are you going to do? New York Groove isn't on there because I'm just sick of it. I loved it in the 70s. I loved it in 78, 79 when it was new, but I got over it. And just for me personally, I don't want it on the record. Now, maybe it would have been on the record if they had really done an album at this time with these batch of songs. Maybe they would have put New York Groove on the album, but not in my little fantasy world. Yeah. All right. So, and don't get me wrong, I do love New York Groove, so don't flame me like, what, you don't like New York Groove? I like it. I'm just tired of it, So, anyway, yeah, let me know what you think. Again, let me know. Maybe you compiled a list when you were 15 or in 1985 or whatever, and you still have it. Post it. I want to see it. And, yeah, like, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and hit the little bell for notifications. And, yeah, and throw your comments on there. And, yeah, that's that. I will see you next time, and, hopefully I'll be able to get more on track and get these things out on time, right? I don't want to keep you guys waiting. And, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to have a video for this Thursday or not. But if not, I'm definitely going to make sure that I have one next Monday, all right? And I also want to point out that I'm at 91 subscribers now, which is not bad for me. I mean, 91, I wasn't that long ago. I was at like 50. So 91's pretty good. Now, I am 9 subscribers away from 100. And when I get to 100, I have a couple of special videos I'm going to do. And, ranking the albums that I think is worthy of doing as a special thing, and a very special track versus track. Very special track versus track, like the ultimate Titans, the Titans of the Titans track versus track. I told my friend which ones I was going to do, and she said, Jesus, that's a grudge match. That's right. So get ready for that. When I hit 100 subscribers, I'm going to be doing that. Anyway, so that's it. That's that. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing and commenting and all that good stuff. And yeah. All right. See you next time.